Digi-Key Electronics presents Maker Club, a new video series showcasing the creativity and ingenuity of makers in Asia, created in partnership with EE Focus and the Hackaday Prize. As one of the world's most trusted distributors, Digi-Key serves both engineers and makers who envision a better world through the creation of new and exciting electronics.
Hi, so I'm Roni. I'm 25 years old. I've been in Shenzhen for the past 6 years. I'm an entrepreneur and a full-stack engineer, and currently the founder of OmniIOT, which is a modular IoT development platform.
What is your motivation when you come here at that time?
When I first came to China, it was 2015. I came here because an American company invited me to relocate. So I was working for an American company at that time. And the company was acquired by another company after 6 months. But I've decided to stay in China and study some Chinese and practically learn the culture and learn the language. And as I thought that Shenzhen is an amazing place to be. I had many projects for many years, different projects, but they always stayed on the project level. And when COVID started, I've decided to open a company. And at that time, I was in Singapore, but I've decided to came back to China because I thought that if I'm going to start a hardware company, the best place to start a hardware company is Shenzhen, because it's known as the Silicon Valley of hardware.
You should have participated in Maker Fair for several times. In your eyes, what are the differences between Chinese and Israeli Maker Fair?
I think in Israel, we're good to take an idea and turn it into something, turn it from idea stage to come up with the idea and turn it into a working prototype or a working product. So we're good from 0 to 1. But in China, they're good to scale it up to a complete product or a complete business later on. I think that both sides can learn from each other. In Israel, the Maker Fair is mostly the Maker Fair, or we have some other competitions and related projects. It's mostly a hobby, kind of like something people come to show up their projects for fun, something that it's one-time use and later on they just put it and they don't use it again. While in China, when I attend the Maker Fair, it should be something, a real product, a real demo, something that later on people will come to me and will be interested to move it forward. So in China, it's mostly a finished product or ready for consumers to use, while in Israel, it's mostly a prototype.
Is that a hobby for you?
Yeah, so I've started as a hobby. And also, I think my first Maker Fair in China was in 2018. And I also show kind of like a wooden board. But since I got so much attention on that Maker Fair product, I've decided to take it one step forward and make it into more industrial grade device, something that can be used in real life situations. So this is the time I learned that in China or in Shenzhen, I can't just make something as a hobby. I have to make something and make a plan for it, kind of like what's the use of it or how can it be used in real life scenarios later on as a product.
I'm very interested on your titles, full stack engineers. Does it mean that you master a variety of skills such as software and hardware development, system development? How can master these skills?
So before I came to China, I was doing mainly cybersecurity. But after I came to China, I realized cybersecurity doesn't have much business here like it has in Israel. And then I find out that Shenzhen is all about hardware. So I self-taught myself about hardware development and firmware development, working with multiple open source hardware organizations and companies in Shenzhen. And later on, when I want to make a more complicated project, it had different requirements. It had maybe cloud requirement, AI requirement, software, hardware related, maybe even mobile app application. And at that time, I didn't have a full team to give each member a task. So I had to take everything upon myself. So I acquired those skills slowly by basically taking a project that I wanted, that I have passion for, and asking myself, what do I need to learn in order to accomplish that project? And that's how I basically gained all the skills I have today.
On your website, you say, I'm a strong believer in project-based learning, but some people may be afraid to start or join a project because they are not good at certain skills. What advice do you have for this?
I would say that people that are scared to start a project, it's mostly due to failure. They're afraid to fail. So it's not actually the project they're afraid to start, it's they afraid of the consequences that will happen if they start a project. And I think people need to understand that failing is part of the project development. It's necessary. Without failing, we cannot acquire new skills, we cannot learn, we cannot progress. And I can happily say that, during this many years of development and startup, I failed many, many times. But I wouldn't be where I am today, building this company, if in the past I didn't fail in so many projects. So I think to start a project is just to have the courage to fail and have a try and leave the comfort zone where people feel comfortable of just doing something they know and they can do, but not learning something new that requires them to take certain risk. Yeah, so this is something that a mindset that need to be a little adjusted.
Until now, what interested projects or works have you or your company made, and which one is your favorite?
Well, probably my favorite will be this one, which is OmniIOT. We've been developing it for the past few months, and it's basically a modular IoT platform that allows anyone to build any IoT application within hours instead of months. Basically, the biggest issue I had in the last several years when I make a new project or when I start something new is that I had to acquire many components, but they're often the same. Power supply, some other extensions in order to facilitate the new project idea. So you spend so much time and effort just to prepare for the actual product development. And by making OmniIOT, we hope to solve this issue by integrating everything in a single board platform. So to eliminate the time waste and the needed requirements, components, to start a project and just start doing it directly from the board.
Today, I would like to introduce you OmniKit and the possible applications with it. For the OmniKit application, we've decided to use hydroponics, which is based on the science of growing plants inside the water without the need of soil. Right here, we have our OmniKit. As we can see, the OmniKit have two layers. One layer is the power board, and the second layer is the MCU board, where we connect all the sensors. Right here, we can see that the OmniKit is connected to 4 perelastic pumps, which are used to pump nutrition. And over here on the back, we have some pH sensor and temperature sensor. As we can see right here, the perelastic pump is connected for a nutrition solution that can be provided for the hydroponic plants. And right here, the nutrition solution goes through the perelastic pumps once it realizes that the pH needed is ready, and it goes directly into the water container here, together with temperature sensor to measure the water temperature. Over here, we have some basil plants we've planted. For example, right here, we have a big one that we planted a few days ago. Basil plants is one of my personal favorite herbs, and it's very delicious to put it on a pasta, for example, which is also one of my favorite dishes. So we really like to grow it. We're happy to introduce it, and this is just one of the applications that OmniKit is able to do. There are many more applications and many more possibilities, and we're looking forward to see what other people are able to achieve.
This OmniIOT emphasizes the interchangeable MCU interface. For what reason?
So we find out that many makers use different platforms. Some people prefer Arduino, some people prefer Raspberry Pi or ESP, and every time there have been released new chips that people would like to try to tinker with. And what we've decided to do with our board is to use a CM4 Raspberry Pi chip footprint and basically design a new chip every single time, but with different MCU on top. And that way we can allow people to swap the MCU on the board and create different functionality in different scenarios based on their needs. So what we see is that we don't need so many development boards and again attach power supply or other functions to them. Everything we need is here. And if we want to use different development board, we can just swap it and change it to a new one.
We know one of the factors that can be widely used and popularized by smart agriculture is whether it's will be low cost and easy to use. How do you rank this IoT program?
Yes, so cost is very, very important for us. And I believe that, we compared multiple products and multiple solutions in the market to our solution. And we think, our price is probably the most reasonable in the market today. I think part of the reason is because for the makers, for the people that want to start with the project, we can offer them something at a base cost, basically, the components cost, because we want people to come up with the idea and develop this community where everyone build the project. But for the enterprise grade, later we can create some cloud solution to offer them the cloud solution for the enterprise. For the maker, we want to keep it as low cost as possible, as easy as possible, to build community that each one can integrate and build solution very easily, because all our hardware is based on open source as well as the software.
For this OmniIOT, and do you have a goal, and what rates and you can accept to achieve?
Hopefully we'll finish testing it and we'll make sure everything works perfectly. And we want to test it in the field, in real scenario application, not just for maker projects, but to actually give it to some farmer, for example, in agriculture, where he can test it out. And once we confirm, we hope to go crowdfunding, so we can raise the necessary funds in order to mass produce this project out. And I definitely see that if other people would like the idea of the changeable, replaceable MCU, instead of using the normal development board used today, they could use OmniIOT to develop their own solution.
The last question, there is a saying that sharing is caring on your personal website. So what ideas do you want to share or convey through this video?
I would like people to, first of all, as you said, people are afraid to start a project. Nothing to be afraid of. They should take a risk. They should go out and start something new. If they don't know, they can always learn. All the information is public. And at least on our side, by making OmniIOT open source and available for the public, we can try as much as possible to share all our knowledge and the process of fabrication for other people to use. So they don't need to start from complete zero, but at least they have something that we can share from our knowledge and our experience to other people around, to other makers, to other professionals. So they could take that use, and hopefully when they learn something new in the future, they will share as well with others, so we all can learn from each other and get better in what we do.